Welcome to the 14th Annual People's Choice Podcast Awards ceremony. I'm glad to have you. Glad to be on the live stream. Thank you for being here. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran. I am the founder of the People's Choice Podcast Awards, and we're coming to you live from the Geek News Central / New Media Studio that's been designed by the team at audimute.com. We've just been in the studio a few months. We're really excited to be in the new location. But we've got a lot to share with you tonight in the awards, and just a little bit of a background. The awards kicked off in 2005 as a way to really honor independent podcast creators globally. And we've had a wide assortment of shows be honored over the years. Just to make it to the nominee slate is a huge undertaking based upon the number of shows that register to participate every year. No other podcast awards uses the process that we do here, where we use listeners to nominate the shows, and we use listeners to largely vote for the shows. Over 2,500 listeners voted in this go-round, with about 300 podcast luminaries, along with about 100 individuals that I handpicked to vote. So all told, just under 3,000 people voted for the winners that we are going to honor tonight. And of course, the nominee process was open to all listeners. Registration for the 15th Annual Podcast Awards will open in February of 2020. And of course, this is the actual first podcast awards. We were the first. Unlike some other entities that claim to be the first, no, this is the original and first podcast awards. Hey, I want to give a thank you to Dave and Steve Lee over at International Podcast Day. If you're not celebrating International Podcast Day, please do. The festivities officially are on the 30th, but they do full 36 hours of content. We're just a few hours into the International Podcast Day schedule. And of course, you can celebrate with the rest of us by going over to internationalpodcastday.com. and participate in all the live events they've got over really the next 36 hours. Lots of exciting presenters from all over the world, not just English-speaking speakers. There's going to be folks really from across the entire globe. So help celebrate International Podcast Day by tweeting, by promoting on Facebook, Instagram. Get all the details over at International Podcast Day. Hey, I want to thank our handpicked luminaries that participated. I want to thank our tech partner, One Technologies. And of course, I want to thank some of our sponsors as well. So one of our primary sponsors that helps get the word out is the folks over at podnews.net. And they put together a short video for those of you to get some information about Pod News.
If you're interested in podcasting, it's never been more important to keep up to date with the industry. From Google Podcasts to Apple and Spotify, Pod News covers it all. People moves, new jobs, events, and tech details for you to know about. Subscribe to Pod News now and get our daily email newsletter every day. It's a quick email with all you need to know. Pod News is your daily email briefing for podcast and on demand. Subscribe now. It's free. Just visit podnews.net.
And of course, we want to thank the folks over at Podcast Business Journal as well. Let's see if I can press the right button here. They help one of our media partners and spread information about the show. We want to thank them very much. And of course, we had a number of podcasters that help promote the podcast awards as well. And really, these sponsors are really key to allowing us to do what we do and help with major underwriting of the actual podcast awards. Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books is a great podcast that have supported the show this year. In addition, the folks over at Making Bank, the Making Bank team, wow, what a show over there. And they've got a video message for us as well. The team at Weird Darkness is one of our podcast sponsors as well, and a word from them.
Bolt your doors, lock your windows, turn off your lights, and come with me into the Weird Darkness. I'm Darren Marlar, the host of Weird Darkness, with stories of the paranormal, supernatural, legends, lore, mysterious, macabre, unsolved, and unexplained. Recently chosen as one of the best storytellers in podcasting for 2019 by Podcast Business Journal, and a finalist for the People's Choice Podcast Awards for Storyteller Drama. Look for Weird Darkness in your favorite podcasting app.
I wear many hats in the podcasting space. I am a podcaster, number one. I do 2 shows myself. I am also the founder of, obviously, the Podcast Awards and the founder of Blueberry.com, a podcast hosting service business. I have to really thank my team over there. They allow me to have the extra time to really run the Podcast Awards. And if you're interested in getting started in podcasting and you're a listener today, I want to encourage you to check out Blueberry.com. As a matter of fact, I'll throw in a 30-day promo if you want to test the service out for free by using the promo code FOUNDER. That'll get you 30 days free over at Blueberry.com, a full-service podcast hosting company. So lots to share, and we're going to get right into the awards here in just a second. I'll get everything queued up and ready to go. My one-man machine here. So hopefully I'll be able to push all the buttons right. Hey, just again, all the shows that participated this year registered throughout the registration period, and then had their listeners come over and themselves register to vote. They had a 30-day period to come in and vote for all the shows in the registration stack. And we're really pleased this year. We had a great lineup of shows that participated. And really, to be honest with you, to make this, just to be a nominee is a huge effort. And they will be honored over the next year by having a prominent space on the Podcast Awards website all the way up until we do the awards again in 2020. So what I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and start in honoring the nominees and, of course, announcing the winners. We want you to use the hashtag PCA19 tonight on any of the social media accounts. We definitely want you to follow our Twitter account at Podcast Awards. I'd greatly appreciate it if you do that and throw that up in your social media post. And if you're a listener that participated, again, thank you for your participation. And again, congratulations to the nominees, and we'll talk about the winners at the end of the process here. So first up is the arts category. The nominees are A Little Lighter, Blackout, Dad's Drinking Bourbon, I'll Drink to That, Talking Wine, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books, Over Coffee, Sips, Suds, and Smokes, The Candid Frame, The Folk Tale Project, and We Like Drinking. The winner in the 14th Annual People's Choice Podcast Awards in the arts category is Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Congratulations to Dad's Drinking Bourbon. And here is their acceptance video.
Hey guys, it's John from Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Zeke's off doing dad stuff, so I am here to say thank you to everyone who voted for us for the Podcast Awards in 2019. We are super appreciative for everyone who listens to our show and everyone in the whiskey community, from the people who make whiskey, sell whiskey, drink whiskey, buy whiskey, whatever it is, the people that listen to our podcast. We just want to say thank you. We're humbled. Go ahead and find us on your favorite podcast app or at dadsdrinkingBourbon.com. We're on Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. We would love to have you be a part of our community as well. But most of all, we just want to say thank you. Cheers.
Next up is the Manager's Tools business category. The nominees are 4-Minute Crypto, 5 Minutes to New Ideas, Big Girl Money, Coffee with Claire, Extraordinary Women Radio with Cammie Gildner, Money Girl, Pivot, The Dan Locke Show, Where Brains Meet Beauty, Where Others Won't. And the winner in the Manager Tools business category is Big Girl Money. Congratulations to Big Girl Money.
We are tickled and thrilled
to be selected as the best podcast in the business category of the People's Choice Podcast Awards.
We're so appreciative to be nominated alongside some exciting and influential podcasters, but let's be honest, we're more excited we won! 2 years ago, I met Wendy and she took me under her wing as her mentee. And I've transformed from a timid caterpillar to a blossoming corporate butterfly. I had to share her advice with as many people as possible.
And thus, Big Girl Money was born.
We'd like to thank our significant others who are so lucky to have us in their lives, our listeners who are the reason we do this,
Terry Diamond for introducing us at Otis Coffee where we met,
our day one supporters, our moms, who always encouraged us to be ourselves,
the low points and crappy people in our corporate careers that provided us a lot of quality material.
A lot. All the guests that have shared their wisdom with us and our listeners on the podcast.
And finally, all the amazing men and women out there working to create equitable workplaces where everyone can thrive and be themselves.
We're committed to continuing to put out amazing content until every woman discovers professional happiness, becomes a Beyonce of her workplace, and gets that big girl money. Thank you.
Next up is the comedy category. The nominees are Two Girls on a Bench, a gay and a non-gay, Florida Men, Funny People Talking, Hi Hungry, I'm Dad, Morbid, a true crime podcast, Sinisterhood, Spitballers Podcast, Talk Nerdy to Me, the Dennis Miller Option. And the winner in the comedy category is Spitballers Podcast. Congratulations to Spitballers Podcast.
Hey, how
That's
you
cool.
doing?
How
that's
fun.
neat.
The Spitwads coming out supporting our new comedy podcast, The Spitballers. We are very, very grateful to the fans, to Podcast Awards.
Absolutely. This has been a fun side project turned into a labor of love, turned into something that the people have responded to in a big way, and this is just awesome. The Spitwads out there, you guys are amazing.
Yeah, our buffoonery, our weekly shenanigans, trying to rebrand that Monday. So thank you so much, everyone who's tuned in. Thank you so much as well. Everyone who voted for the Spitballers, and
thank you.
We'll see you on Monday.
Next up is the Grammar Girl Education category. The nominees are 1% Better, Curiosity Daily, Dad Does Drugs, Deep into History, Fiction Nonfiction, Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls, Spy Stories, The Wonderful World of Wine, WWW, Toys Were Us, and Trending in Education. And the winner in the Grammar Girl Education category is Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. Congratulations.
Hello, I'm Elena Favilli, CEO and co-creator of Rebel Girls. Thank you so much for this award for Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls, the podcast. First of all, let me thank our incredible narrators, Purna Jagannathan, Priscilla Chan, Jackie Cruz, just to name a few. Thank you for bringing these incredible stories to life. And thank you to Cristobal, Joy, Justine, and Electra. Your dedication to this podcast brought it to the ears of millions of girls all around the globe. And lastly, I want to thank you, our incredible listeners. You are a phenomenal group of rebel women and rebel girls, and your encouragement is the support we need to keep female-led stories alive. Thank you so much.
Many of you may not know what our Legacy Show program is all about. The Legacy Shows are basically shows that have won a specific category a minimum of 5 times. Legacy shows are also honored on this page that we have on podcastawards.com. And if you notice, some of our categories are named after some of these luminaries who have won their specific categories over the years. The only category that will never be renamed is the Adam Curry's People's Choice Podcast Award, that is basically honoring Adam Curry and his work that he did as the podfather in the podcasting space. All of these categories, again, are represented by shows that have won at least 5 times in the specific category over the years. We definitely want to make sure that they get recognized as we go through the show tonight. And for those of you to remember that it is possible to win your category 5 times. But once you do, you no longer can win a podcast award. All right, so let's go ahead and switch back, and we're going to talk about the next category. Let's see if I can push the right button. Up is Rob Has a Podcast Entertainment category. The nominees are Character Corner, Comic Book Club Live, Dare to Dream, Female Filmmakers Fuse Podcast, Mighty Marvel Geeks, Pop Goes Your World, Stuck in the 80s, The Bearded One Comedy Podcast, The Hollywood Outsider, and We're Drunk and We Know This. And the winner of the Rob Has a Podcast Entertainment category goes to We're Drunk and We Know Things. Congratulations.
When we won the first one of these, we were amazed.
When we won the second, we were legitimately blown away.
So to win a third is really, truly unbelievable.
I mean, it's not like we don't have enough fun making the podcast as is. We did things like our first ever live show last Christmas.
We rejigged for season 2 to focus in more of the deep dives.
And of course, every month we get to do a ton of research into topics that we already love. That said, we do need to say thank you to a few people. Firstly, the judges. Thank you. We get it. We're awesome. You can stop giving us awards now.
We want to thank the producers who mostly show up and even sometimes on time.
I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of the other podcasters out there, whether you are in the awards or not. Keep doing what you're doing. You make our lives a more fun, interesting, enjoyable place.
I want to thank our families who let us out of the house once a month to record these ridiculous things.
And finally, lastly, but by no means leastly, a massive thank you to all of our listeners. You're the reason we do this. If you keep listening, we'll keep making them. And without you, it wouldn't be a podcast. It would just be 2 guys
in a pub
talking. Cheers.
In the category of games and hobbies, the nominees are Arcade Attack Retro Gaming Podcast, D&D is for Nerds, Geek to Geek Podcast, Nintendo Switchcraft, Quiz Bang Bang, Talkin' Pops, The Gamer Outsider, The Reason I'm Broke, Trivial Warfare, and Triviality Podcast. And the winner in the games and hobby category are The Reason I'm Broke. Congratulations.
Third year was what it took. The Brokehead Core and everyone out there as well came through, and this time gifted all of us with the best in games and hobbies. It is a massive day for all of us.
We are so excited. We are so humbled and thrilled and thankful for every single one of you who showed up, who voted, who listened to our podcast every single week. We do this for all of you guys. It's as much your award as it is ours.
If you've just discovered our show this past week, or if you've been there since 2012, thank you so much for supporting the show in any way that you could. Everyone at the Podcast Awards, huge thanks for hosting this. We know it is not easy. Huge thanks to all of the contestants and everyone else that was nominated, and huge congratulations as well. I want to thank my host and my wife and my best friend for supporting this podcast for all of you out there.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in this and every single week.
Next up is government and organizations. The nominees are 5 Alarm Task Force, Big World, Completely Booked, Democracy Works, Our LAPD Story, Questions for Lawyers with Jeff Adelman, Real People, Real Conversations, The Impact, The Pledge Podcast, and World Affairs. And the winner in the government organization categories is The Impact. Congratulations.
Hi, it's Jillian Weinberger, the senior producer of The Impact from Vox. We're so thrilled to win Best Government and Organizations podcast. Thank you so much for this award. If you don't know The Impact, we're a show that looks at what happens when people in power act or fail to act. So when people in power decide to do something differently, what happens to the rest of us? Our team includes Sarah Cliff, Amy Drozdowska, Bird Pinkerton, Liz Nelson, and me. You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you again.
In the next category, health, 9 to 5 fitness, bulletproof radio, dementia matters, diabetes connection, fit club, foreplay radio sex therapy, life after PTSD, mental, the podcast to destigmatize mental health, sleep with me, the Insomnia Project. And the winner in the health category goes to Mental, the podcast to destigmatize mental health. Congratulations.
Thank you so much to everyone at the People's Choice Podcast Awards and everyone that's been a part of making this award happen for us, particularly my wonderful producer, Pete Murta, and my brilliant assistant, Annie Harris. Thank you so much for being a part of destigmatizing mental health by listening to the podcast. I look forward to hopefully reaching even more people thanks to this award.
Thanks.
The next category is kids and family. The nominees are Cool Facts About Animals, Girls Can Podcast, Making Biblical Family Life Practical, Miraculous Mamas, Mommies Tell All, Moms in the Middle, Oh Behave, The Dastardly Deeds of Professor Nasty, The Secure Dad Podcast, and The Single Mom Podcast. The winner in Kids and Family goes to Mommies Tell All. Congratulations.
Hey guys, thank you so much for choosing Mommies Tell All as your favorite podcast. Oh my gosh, we're freaking out. We're just two moms trying to get through it all, and we're so glad it resonates with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we started this podcast just because we wanted moms to feel a little less alone in this crazy journey and that we could all unite together and be rockin' moms. So thank you so much. And it really means the world to us.
It really does. We love you guys.
One thing I want to talk about, this next category is the LGBTQ category. And when I started the Podcast Awards back in 2005, I made a specific effort to include this category. As many of you know, this category is not even represented in many of the podcast directories. It's not represented on Apple Podcast. And the category itself is subjugated into subcategories where they basically, the LGBTQ community, have to find their own home. I've always thought that the LGBT community should be able to at least be recognized for the work that they do and the advocacy and the message they put forth. And I've always supported the LGBTQ community in the Podcast Awards, and I feel that's very important, and hope that you will continue to advocate for them to have their own dedicated categories across the networks of podcast directories that are available today. Let's go ahead and announce the nominees. In the Feast of Fools /Fun LGBTQ category, a gay and a non-gay, an older gay guy show. Category is Derek and Romaine, Fry Gay, the 13th horror podcast, Gay-ish, If These Ovaries Could Talk, Once Upon a Scream, The Gossip Gays, and Who Invited Her. And the winner in the Feast of Fools and Fun LGBT community goes to If These Ovaries Could Talk. Congratulations.
We never win.
No, never.
I
have
never,
ever
win.
won. Even when I was in the trampoline competition in 4th grade, I thought it was a shoo-in. My seat drops were on point. I did not win.
Well, I won a lottery at the school where I won a wooden spoon, and I was very unhappy because I thought I just gave up all my winning. We won!
Podcast Awards.
So I didn't give up all my winning. Thank you to our listeners.
I've given up on winning too, Robin.
I know. That's kind of the theme of our podcast.
Thank you to our listeners.
You really like us.
Thank you to the voters.
Thanks to our moms, or just your mom.
My mom's pretty awesome.
Thank you for putting us in this podcast awards.
You guys, thank you.
Thank you.
I can't say it enough. Thank you, gratitude. Thank you, thank you.
I'm gonna go cry over.
It feels good.
You
like us.
In the Coverville Pod Safe Music category, the nominees are Breaking Through with Elena, Coffee Talk, Cinematic Sound Radio, Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, Mr. Throwback Thursday, Music Makers and Soul Shakers, One Bourbon, One Charred, or One Beer, Switched on Pop, The Great Song Adventure, and You'll Hear It. And the winner in the Coverville Pod Safe Music category goes to Switched on Pop. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Nate Sloan.
And I'm Charlie Harding.
And we're the hosts of Switched on Pop.
We're honored to accept the award for the best music podcast in the Coverville PodSafe music category.
On Switched on Pop, every week we break down the making and meaning of popular music. If you haven't heard it yet, it's available everywhere you get podcasts and at vox.com/switched-on-pop.
We also want to thank Bridget Armstrong, Nishat Kurwa, Megan Lubin, Brandon McFarlane, Liz Nelson, and everyone at Vox Media for helping us make the show.
And thanks to you. Thanks to everyone who voted for Switched on Pop. We make this for anyone who is as wildly curious about music as we are. And I would say the best thing about this project for sure is that music is always evolving, as is our listening. And we know there's more to be heard every single week.
Thanks.
Next category, the Majority Report Politics and News category. The nominees are American Conservative University Podcast, Best of the Left, Consider This, The Mueller Report Audio, Opening Arguments, Out of the Shadows, The Ben Shapiro Show, The Newsworthy, Today Explained, Two Broads, Talking Politics. And the winner in the Majority Report's Politics and News category goes to Today Explained. Congratulations.
Hello? Hello, everyone. My name's Rick the Elephant, and I'm here representing Sean Rameswaram. He's the host of Today Explained. He's off making a daily podcast right now, but he wanted to say, hey, thank you so much for this Majority Report Politics and News category award. This is unbelievable. We work really hard here at the show to bring you a short, beautifully produced explainer of the day's news just in time for your evening commute, your evening jog, your evening chores, whatever you're doing in the evening, basically. We hope to help you understand the news every day, and this award says that it's working. Mad respect to our Today Explained team. Thank you to Vox and Stitcher for all the incredible support, and most of all, thank you. All of you who voted, all of you who listen to the show every day. And one last thing before Rick's out. Don't forget to rate and review Today Explained on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Rick's out!
Next up, Religion and Spirituality. The nominees are Anointed Radio Network, Better Work Bitch, Beyond, Girlfriends, Kindling Fire Podcast, Life After Addiction, Psychic Teachers, Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, Spiritual Entrepreneur, and the Outer Limits of Inner Truth. And the winner in the Religion and Spirituality category goes to Better Work Bitch. Congratulations.
Is this for real? What? Oh my God, you guys. I'm so grateful. What's good? This is your esoteric Essa, host of Better Work Bitch podcast. Thank you. I mean, we just won. I'm in awe. Thank you, first of all, for the nomination. For those of you who nominated Better Work Bitch podcast in the spirituality category, thank you truly from my heart to yours. So much gratitude. And then to win? Like, what is good? Oh my God. Thank you for supporting conscious content, which is the mission behind Better Work Bitch podcast. Really highlighting the voices of the Latinx culture and our healers in our community, and really destigmatizing all the negative misconceptions around our indigenous spiritual roots. Thank you to everyone who listens on a daily basis. You are co-creating with me. You helped me co-create this opportunity. I'm so thankful and grateful to every single woman who lent their voice on the podcast and who shared their story and their journey, their wisdom, their knowledge. Thank you, everyone who went on the podcast these past 4 seasons. I'm so grateful. Thank you to Todd and the Podcast Awards, the People's Choice Podcast Awards. This is so dope. Thank you for creating a platform for us podcasters. Thank you for supporting conscious content and supporting Latinx content. This is dope. Thank you to Divine Masculines who listen on a daily basis. This is a win for all of us. I'm so hyped. Check out Better Work Bitch Podcast. This is your Esoteric Essa. I'm just too hyped.
The next category is the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe Science and Medicine category. The nominees are All Creatures Podcast, Blurry Photos, Charting Pediatrics, Curiosity Daily, DNA Today, a genetics podcast. Houston, we have a podcast. STEM Talk, Talking Space, Wild Thing, and your online coffee break. And the winner of the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe Science and Medicine category goes to STEM Talk. Congratulations.
First off, we'd like to thank Todd Cochran and the Podcast Award staff for putting in the amazing amount of work that this event requires. Secondly, I'd like to express our gratitude for being nominated our 3rd year in a row in the Skeptic's Guide to Science and Medicine category. We're just honored to be considered in this group. STEM Talk is one of the many outreach initiatives that we produce here at IHMC, a not-for-profit research lab pioneering groundbreaking technologies aimed at leveraging and extending human cognition, perception, locomotion, and resilience. IHMC's reputation for leading research in natural language processing, human-machine interaction, cybersecurity, visual systems, biometric and space-related fields, just to name a few, offers us unique access to top scientists, engineers, health and technology experts. Our interviews focus on the science that our subjects are engaged with, as well as their careers, motivations, education, and passions. Think of them as profiles in science. Tune in every other Tuesday to our show, and if you like us, please write a review of STEM Talk on iTunes and spread the word. stemtalk.us. Thank you.
Part of our requirements here at the Podcast Awards is that we require all nominees to submit their acceptance video in lieu of now knowing if they actually won. So I will say tonight, so far, we've had a great lineup of folks that have had put the energy forth as if they were sitting right here in the studio. And I definitely appreciate that. And the extra work teams have went to making acceptance videos not knowing in advance. The Podcast Awards has been approached by numerous groups to take the awards ceremony to an actual live event where we actually have a live audience. The challenge with that is because we have a global podcasting community that participates in the Podcast Awards, it's very difficult for me to be able to figure out how to get 200 plus nominees, their guests, and everyone else in one space at one time. Many events have huge underwriting, and the Podcast Awards here's major underwriting is done by the sponsors, and how we pay for the trophies and everything else is done in the Podcast Award is done through the actual registrations podcasters themselves use or the money that they spend to actually participate in awards. And we got that fee at $20 per year to participate. That basically covers everything that we need for trophies, administration fees, and all that. But we take every dime that we make from the Podcast Awards and it goes back into the website. This is not a profit center for me. And I turn everything back into the community and use it to promote the Podcast Awards, whether it be through advertising or sponsorships on sites to get the words out. So I hope that if you're sitting in the audience and you think that this is a worthy event to be able to take to the next level, that you'll step up and consider becoming a corporate sponsor and maybe underwriting something bigger for the Podcast Awards. I think we deserve it. This is a one-man show. I do this myself and with my tech team that we outsource and an auditing agency that takes care of things. So I definitely appreciate the participation of all the shows that sign up. And this to this point, I think we've got a pretty good process. Again, I want to thank all the podcasters who participated this year. And again, I'm holding up the show and just talking. And the podcasting rule is never to know your audience. And I think I may be doing that. So let's go ahead and continue on with the announcements of the winners. Next up is Society and Culture. The nominees are Paranormal Chicks, Coffee Convos, Criminology, I Don't Get It podcast, Jim Harold's Campfire, Real Life, Real Crime, Sword and Scale, The Brain Candy podcast, The Ezra Klein Show, The Way I Heard It with Mike Rowe. And the winner in the Society and Culture category goes to the Brain Candy podcast. Congratulations.
We did it!
Oh my God! We did it.
I mean, I'm trying to be humble.
No.
but the podcast awards.
We won. Podcastawards.com. Susie Meister, Sarah Rice, the Brain Candy podcast. Finally.
And you know what? It feels really nice to win something besides a challenge and also with you.
Yes.
Not against you.
Right. And we've arrived. We've made it.
300 and blah, blah, blah episodes, and we are still going strong. Can you even believe it?
Yes. Brain Candy Podcast has just gotten started.
Mm-hmm.
After almost 400 episodes, I feel like we're just hitting a new stride.
I know, and thank you, all the listeners, everybody who took time to vote. We love you. We could not do it without you.
And thank you, Podcast Awards. You're amazing, and we want to celebrate in style.
In the only way that you can. Woo!
Next up is the ESPN Fantasy Focus Football Sports category. The nominees are 30 for 30 podcast, A Cowboy Life, Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, Because of Horses podcast, Fantasy Football Today, Get Fit Guy, Packers Fan Podcast, Shut Down Fullcast, Talk is Jericho, and the Fantasy Footballers. And the winner in the ESPN Fantasy Focus Football Sports category goes to 30 for 30 podcast. Congratulations.
Hey everyone, Jody Avergan here from ESPN's 30 for 30.
Now, the 30 for 30 team sent us a video, but we only got like 5 seconds of it. It was discovered yesterday when we were doing production, getting ready to do this. I sent an email to the 30 by 30 team saying, hey, your video only had 5 seconds in it. And I must apologize for not having the full acceptance video. They tried, but they did send me an email and they said, sorry, we couldn't get the full video to you. We don't know what happened, but we want to thank the 30 for 30 team and all the folks that are basically listeners of this podcast. It's a great sports podcast, and if you're not listening to it, definitely check it out on the web. But they send their sincere thank you for voting for them, and also a sincere thank you to the fans of the show for really supporting and providing feedback. So congratulations to 30 for 30 on podcast team. Congratulations, and technical stuff happens, but I hope I was an applicable stand-in for you, or a decent stand-in. All right. Again, congratulations for 30 for 30 podcast. The next category is storyteller drama. This is a new category. This year, we removed the mature category and added storyteller / drama. We've often asked, Todd, can you please add another category to the podcast awards? In January of 2020, we will open up bids for individuals that want to sponsor a specific category with the podcast awards. We're asking for at least a 3-year commitment. So that's going to be a minimum investment of at least $1,500 if you want to sponsor a category in the podcast awards. It has to be a topical category, something that we know that we can get enough people to participate in that category. So if you want to become a sponsor of a specific new category in the podcast awards, please reach out to me. I'm podcast at Podcast Connect. That's the easiest way to get through. In the storyteller and drama category, the nominees are Dream Story, Just Spilling It, Legends of the Old West, Monstero, New England Legends, One More Turn, Real Life, Real Crime, True Crime Deadline, Vampires of Whitechapel, and finally, Weird Darkness. The winner of the storyteller and drama category goes to Real Life, Real Crime. Congratulations.
Hey, if you're watching this, that means we won the Podcast of the Year award for drama and storytelling. And we love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. I want to say thanks to my beautiful wife, who, without her, this podcast wouldn't even be here, and her support. I love you so much, baby. And our dream team members, thank you so much for rocking it and making us go viral. And all you lifers out there, I love you so much. Peace.
Next up is This Week in Tech Technology category. The nominees are Darknet Diaries, Diva Tech Talk, Latest in Tech News, Mac Geek Gab, Recode Decode, School of Podcasting, Security in 5, The Two-Way Radio Show, Waves of Tech, and Why'd You Push That Button? The winner in This Week in Technology category goes to Why'd You Push That Button? Congratulations.
Hey y'all, it's me, Ashley Carmen, one of the hosts of Why'd You Push That Button, a podcast all about the choices we make with technology. Unfortunately, my co-host, Caitlin Tiffany, could not be here today, but we both want to thank you so much for voting for us and giving us the award for the People's Choice in Technology. We also want to thank our producers, Andrew Marino and Zach Mack. Without them, our show would not be able to be made. And also, thank you to all of you for listening to the show, supporting it, coming on the show, telling us about all your tech issues and things you're working through. If you are interested in some of our past episodes from the past 4 seasons, feel free to check them out anywhere you normally get your podcasts. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Next up is TV and film. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan podcast. Bad Examples. Based on a true story. Ellen, On the Go. Game of Thrones, the podcast. Outlander cast. Riverdale, After Dark. The Blacklist Exposed. Veronica's Marshmallows. Watch What Crappens. And the winner in the TV and film category goes to Ellen, On the Go. Ellen's staff has sent a video. I was wishing it was going to be Ellen herself, but here's the congratulatory message from the Ellen team.
Are you kidding me? We won, guys.
No way.
Yes.
For real? No.
Yes. I just got the call.
Let's go.
Wow. Wow. This is how we sit normally.
That's how we're always sitting.
We are so honored.
Hold on.
What?
Hold on. I'm sorry, cut. You can't be chewing gum.
Okay.
Oh, God.
We won the People's Choice Podcast Award.
The Podcast Award? The Podcast.
They're saying we won the People's Choice Podcast Award.
Yes.
We, oh my God.
Podcast Award.
There's a camera.
Wow. Thank you for everyone who voted for us. Thank you for everyone who might listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And really, we're
thank you to
thrilled.
everyone who And now that you see our faces, you understand why we went with a podcast,
not a television show.
and not a show.
Exactly.
This is a big deal.
It's
I mean, this is.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
We love our podcast so
We
much.
love doing it.
Thank you, people.
Thank
We
you,
love
thank you
doing
so
something
much.
that Ellen
Thanks
pays
for
us
loving
nothing
Ellen.
for.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not a chance we're winning.
No.
Before I announce the People's Choice Podcast Award, I want to give it up for the ladies. The ladies have dominated the awards this year. Congratulations. Good job. I'm just so thrilled. In the early years, the space was so dominated by male voices, and we have such a strong showing this year from the ladies. Again, congratulations and a job well done. And congratulations to all the shows, again, that were nominated. And, of course, the winners. The People's Choice category is really a category where every show that registers to be involved in the podcast awards, it goes into this category by default. It is the toughest category of the entire awards process to get nominated. To get nominated, you had to have had literally tens of thousands of nominations for your show just to make the list. And we actually saw separations of less than 20, 30, 40 votes to get the difference between nominee and making the slate. So as you're thinking about your strategy for next year, get the vote out, nominate your show. But anyway, congratulations to everyone. And of course, I'll be back real quickly after we announce the top category here. Let's see if I can, again, push the right button. In the category of the Adam Curry's People's Choice Podcast Award, the nominees are Bad Examples, Coffee Convos, Jim Harold's Campfire, Morbid, a true crime podcast, Opening Arguments, Outlander Cast, The Ezra Klein Show, The Fantasy Footballers, The Way I Heard It with Mike Rowe, and Watch What Crappens. Lots of fantastic shows there. Congratulations, the winner of the Adam Curry's People's Choice Podcast Award goes to The Fantasy Footballers. Congratulations.
Whoa! Yeah. Whoa! Oh, thank you.
Look, thank you very, very much. The People's Choice Award, amazing. A reflection entirely on our listeners who have come out and supported us. The Foot Clan has never been defeated.
Yes, mighty and undefeated.
And look, it's just a really cool moment for the show, a cool moment for all of us who have poured ourselves into this podcasting world. And I'm telling you, this is an honor as much this time as it was the first time. So thank you very much, Todd, the Podcast Awards team, everything you do.
Very grateful that our audience came out and said, "You're the best." And it makes us feel good. We appreciate it.
Real good.
So we just want to say thank you for acknowledging that we're the best.
Yeah, and it feels fantastic. We've been lucky enough to get a few of them, but it feels great every single time. So thank you so much to everyone that voted for us.
Congratulations to all the winners. I have a few minutes before we get turn this over to the International Podcast Day team. But I just want to say, again, thank you to everyone, and congratulations again to all the winners. And it's been my pleasure, again, to put together, host, and manage the Podcast Awards. For all of you that are winners, you'll be getting an email in the next day or so talking about the trophies and nominees as well. So be on the lookout for that. In my parting comments here, I want all of you to really think about, those of you that are podcasters that are watching this today, I want you to think about what we have in the podcasting space that is pretty incredible. Today, through a simple RSS feed, we're able to get our shows distributed globally on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, all the variety of sites and locations, Spotify, all these great locations for people to be able to consume our content. And because of that, because of the RSS feed and being an open standard, we are in a position today where there are no gatekeepers. We control our destiny. We control where our shows go. We have the ability to allow any group, any individual to start a podcast and get their message out. I just can't stress enough how precious what we have here. The podcast RSS feed is the great equalizer. It is your radio tower. It's the way you get your message out. Listeners largely don't care. They don't care how they get their show, your show, as long as they get your show where they want to listen to it or watch in some instances. So I think it's, as individual podcasters, those of us creating content, we need to remember what we have. And when you hear people talk about, oh, RSS, it needs to be improved, or we need to go to some other method, just be cautious. Because usually there's an agenda, and agendas drive gatekeepers. And that's the last thing that we need in the podcasting space, is any gatekeepers. It's my mission to keep the podcasting space open and to continue to promote independent content creators. An independent person could be backed by a big company, but our medium's different. People make a specific choice to listen to us, whether they subscribe to the show or they find our show in a specific app and click play. That's very special. We aren't just in the ether over the airways. We are coming to people through their ears. And it's an absolute fantastic medium that we belong into or we're part of. Again, my name is Todd Cochran. I'm the founder of the People's Choice Podcast Awards. I'm a podcaster myself. I've just celebrated my 15th anniversary of my podcast with almost 1,400 episodes. I also do the New Media Show at newmediashow.com. I'd appreciate it if you go over there and hit subscribe. You'll get a PhD in podcasting. It's co-hosted by myself and Mr. Rob Greenlee. We're both in the Podcast Hall of Fame. And again, tonight's about the winners. So congratulate all them. Make sure you tweet it. Make sure you say, good job. It's been my pleasure to bring the Podcast Awards to you. Good luck. We'll see you in 2020.